you want something to work for you, and if you want to keep performance right and keep the milk in the eau, you can't starve her. We got away actually without feeding meal this spring, even though there was days I went out to the field and I said, oh my God, I should be feeding meal there in the months of March. I held off. It was just through management really.
Hello, I'm Kieran Lynch and welcome to OviCast, the Teagasc Sheep podcast. Each episode will bring you latest insights, advice and technical updates for the sheep industry. This week's episode we catch up with Ger Carey from Gurteen College to give us a rundown on the 450 ewe strong sheep flock they run in Gurteen. Ger talks us about the sheep systems, how that's changed over the past number of years. We discuss breeding, winter and forage crops and managing new condition. We move on to talk about lamb performance this year, drafting, and for Ger the importance of hitting carcass spec for their systems. Now the college has made some significant investments in housing and handling facilities on the farm over the past number of years. We talk a bit more about these and how they've improved management and productivity on the flock. Finally, we finish up the episode with Ger discussing some of the sheep skills that students acquire during their time there, including the shearing course they run annually. We start off with Ger giving us a rundown on the sheep system.
So we keep 400 breeding ewes and 50 breeding ewe lambs. So it's 450.
Okay.
We break them down. We lamb about 100 mature ewes in January, and then 300 mature, between hoggets and mature ewes in March, and then the 50 ewe lambs.
They're coming in after the...
So usually about Paddy's Day we start lambing the ewe lambs, and they go on for 20 days and that's it.
Okay.
So the 10th of April, we're finished.
So let's just put a little bit of context around this. It's not just solely running as a commercial sheep flock. You have a lot of students. You have different types of students coming in and out.
Absolutely. So we have our own level 5 agriculture students. We have our level 6 agriculture students. We also have vet nurses coming from Athlone IT, and you have first years and second years of them. And Dunleary come as well now, but they do very little practical work with the sheep, but they come there in February. So that's all happening in March. And with those outside students.
Just to give the full picture of that, like that would have changed your system around a little bit over the last 10 years or so.
Absolutely. Well, between our own students going out in farm placements, that has changed 3 times in the last 10 years. So we have to change our systems a little, or time of lambing and stuff like that. So at the moment we're lambing from the 1st of January up to the 1st of February. We lamb those 100 ewes. There's no sponging, it's all natural. And we take a break for February, and then from the 1st of March up to the 10th of April, then back lambing.
Okay. Let's just talk a little bit of what kind of stock you're running. Anyone who's at Sheep 23 would have seen them in the pens and demos. You had a busy couple of days with us pulling out stock for it. We're glad to get them. Talk to me a little bit about what kind of ewes you're running. What's changed over the last couple of years?
Okay, well, we were predominantly Chevy across Suffolk, so the Boris type of ewes, we call them down this part of the country. And then with cost of replacements and stuff, we says we'll go maybe introduce a bit of New Zealand Suffolk blood into them. So it's 9 years ago since our first New Zealand Suffolk ram came to the farm. So we started to keep replacements from him. A small percentage of them, or about 20% of them, or maybe less. And then we were crossing a maternal textile ram with those New Zealand Suffolk cross Chevies, and trying to get a hybrid your hogger coming from them.
Okay, so your base was you'll basically go back.
Yes,
to the years back. Barrow show, buying all in, putting textile across them, selling everything out. Start keeping your replacement. First cross is that Kiwi Suffolk.
Yes.
Then a high maternal index textile.
Exactly.
Okay.
And keeping a share of both, but also keep buying a small handful of Barrow shows just to keep that maternal
type that you wanted in it.
Type that you want in the flock.
Got a little bit more complicated than the system previously.
Yes, exactly. It's keeping the track on rams now and that as well. Like there's a big turnover of rams. And so going forward, I think myself I'm going to go back with labour and one thing or another, and lamb and ewe lambs, and the cost of meal. I just feel that it's just not viable anymore to just do the ewe lamb and go back just to the Barra show again maybe, and terminal Charlies or terminal textiles on them.
Keep it straightforward.
Keep it straightforward and keep consistency.
So look, we touched a little bit there on that, so you've that basically a Burris type, you've your crosses back on it now. The old lambs, you're taking a pick of the heaviest ones and going for 2 weeks.
So the way we pick our young lambs for the flock is that for anything born from the 1st of March up to the 17th of March, if the old lambs themselves has twins or triplets, that I notch the lamb's ear. And come sale time, if I like the old lamb, she'll be left no matter what way she is. Even if the price is right, I leave her, and anything that doesn't suit me will be factories at the time.
Look, it throws up one of the headaches. The pros of that is you are picking good maternal genetics. You're picking trouble-free ones that you know.
Yep.
But the trade-off there is you have to have good record keeping them them separate. Bit more mating groups. Gets a little bit more complicated for you.
Well, this is it. We have 3 flocks of sheep then. We have the early ones, we have the mid-season, and then we have the old lambs. I mean, come April and May, there's so many different groups.
Yeah.
And grass gets tight at that stage, and we also run sucklers and cattle together and with the sheep, and everything is competing for it. So I want to go back simplicising the thing and just keeping the same number of ewes. We could keep 400 good breeding ewes, and having a good lambing average, keeping all the lambs live and one thing or another, get 1.7.
And to be fair, come March, you've suckler cows calving in spring as well, and you start to get out. So there's a lot of other bits going on.
Lots of other, exactly, and everything has its own targets and that.
Yeah, you have to.
We have to meet them.
You have to meet the system as well and make it work for you.
Yeah.
Look, still, kind of output you'll get from them ewes. What kind of crop are you getting off them?
Yeah, so we're selling 1.7.
Okay.
That's what we're selling. We could scan 1.8, like everywhere. We have our ups and downs and losing lambs and that's all part of it. But 1.7 to sales, we're happy enough with that.
And I'm going to try and put a bit of a picture on this. Some will have seen these ewes, and I was lucky enough, I've been through the flock with you. Like, they're in exceptionally good condition. Like, you're after weaning most of the flock.
Yep.
I think anyone would be proud of them going to the ram and weaning. They're well conditioned, well looked after ewes. You put a lot of effort into culling hard and keeping that ewe condition right.
Absolutely. Well, they never really see a hungry day.
Yeah.
And that's, if you want something to work for you, and if you want to keep performance right and keep the milk in the ewe, you can't starve her. We got away actually without feeding meal this spring, even though there's days I went out to the field and I said, oh my God, I should be feeding meal there in the month of March. I held off. It was just through management really. I thought it would upset the ewes too much if I start feeding meal and then taking it away and then bringing it back forward. We lost a few ewes maybe with tetany, but not, it was bearable, like.
Given the year that was.
Given the year it was, exactly. Yeah. And the ewes are in good nick now.
Yeah.
The early ewes the lambs are all gone from them, they're sold, and they're an average of €168.
Your mid-seasons then you're starting
mid-season, so we've actually 40 lambs sold off of we've 80 odd single lambs, ewes went with lambs out to grass, and the 40 of them lambs are sold so far. And what we're now, 18th of...
Yeah, so you're going to start in the twins and that next time.
Twins this week now, so I say we'll have about 50 or 60 lambs to go this week of the twins.
Performance has been good with them.
Performance is mighty now.
Yeah.
I think lambs done very, very well during over the dry period now.
No, and a comment you made to me last week was like the lambs are well covered. When you're hitting the weight, they're not bare lambs at that weight, they're well fleshed.
Absolutely.
Their lambs have done well all along.
Yeah. So they have a fat cover of 3, and that's where we want them at, and we're drafting lambs from anything from 42 to 44 kgs.
Like, the reason I say that is you put this year in context. It's been difficult. Lamb performance has been back around the country. One thing that probably is a little bit different with your ewes, the condition has held well on them this year.
Yep.
You kept enough feed in front and kept them nicely shifted. It's paid off in the lambs.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't let the ewes go dry.
Yeah.
And ewes could have went dry. Like, I mean, we had ewes in sheds for 10 and 12 days after lambing, which we'd never ever had before. We're in small little problems as you would in sheds and stuff, but it's all part of it. Is weather. The weather has a big impact on lambing time.
Look, we'll talk a little bit about management. Obviously, at grass, it's straightforward enough. You move around groups.
Yeah.
You do have a bit of tillage on the farm. You have a bit of crops growing. Talk to me a little bit about the winter on the farm. What does it look like with it?
Okay, so the winter really starts around here in late October. So having the 2 flocks, you all said, the earlies and the mid seasons. So we need to evacuate ground earlier for the early lambs to allow ewes to go back to grass on January, and they do. The minute they lamb, like 24 hours or 48 hours, the ewe has gone to grass with the lamb. And to allow to have that grass, you have to evacuate in September sometime, where you're going to let your first ewe out of. So we have 100 acres of corn, and it's barley, oats, and wheat, and it's winter stuff. So we're able to get in our fodder rape in on that ground for the feed for the winter for the ewes, and only the mid-season ewes go on in November, and up to December then we scan our ewes, or mid-seasons, and I'll start picking them away. Then anything that triplets or doubles might go to a small bit of grass that we left, and then the singles will go back up on the fodder rape, and they'll get a bale of silage on that or something, and they'll stay there until February. It's
giving you a great carrying capacity right the way through.
Absolutely.
Saving a wee bit on the housing, a bit more space for the earlies to lamb and get on with life. And
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It allows us to, because we start lambing in January, we wouldn't have enough, even though we have room for 400 ewes in the shed, which we'll talk about later on. But things would be tight.
It's breeding space.
Exactly. Things would be tight.
And just like I'm managing that year, are you giving them kind of splitting it 3-day blocks, 4-day blocks, or giving them week allocations?
Yeah, it's 3 days. 3 or 4 days blocks. Okay. So we make our tracks, actually, we use just reels, 3 reels, and the white little plastic stakes. And we make our track with the tractor wheel.
Okay.
Just to have no earthing on the wires. And we're at it years, we never have a ewe breaking out through it.
Okay. I know it's not the time of year for it, it's an integral part of your system. Look, you just mentioned something else there about pulling off ewes. You'd have to watch condition a bit, maybe with older ewes on that crop.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though it's not a turnip, it's just a rape, so they eat the leaf. We have them well trained, they eat down to the clay now. But the older ewes, yeah.
Just watch anything gets tin.
Anything that gets tin just goes out to grass. Or lame. Lameness could be a problem on it because of the clay and the dryness. Sometimes you could have a few wet nights, and then you could go very dry. Yeah. And the clay just clogs around the hoof.
And they're all congregating in similar areas. It spreads it for further.
Exactly.
Look, someone having them with them, they're kept as their own separate groups. Singles run separately in the mid-seasons.
Yes.
Earlies are all together, obviously.
Exactly. Now, the mid-season singles become the early flock of next year.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the lambs have gone, we have 40 lambs sold already from so the singles will come in as the early flock.
Better condition,
and they'll go in lamb easier.
And the earlies, you're rotating some of them year to year. Is it you generally train age, the older you?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. She's gone.
You're selling them out.
Just factory. We often have family days out going to when the lamb is going in April, say the early lamb, and if the ewes in good on nick, and if there's the Ramadan festival or something like it, there's a one for ewes, the ewes go.
So the ewes, the lambs, the whole
lot goes on the day.
Good check home, but a lot of pressure off the system too.
Absolutely.
But it keeps it clean.
It keeps it clean, and as we talked about cattle have to come out with sheds as well, and we have to meet targets, and we have to cut silage and one thing and another. So it just keeps the thing going.
And that is one key thing about here. There's a balance between everything and getting that workload right as well.
Exactly. There's a lot going on.
Okay. Look, we touched on the shed handling facilities, 400 ewes, students to educate, teach, bring through different demos and practicals.
Yep.
You better see, anyone that wasn't in the college in recent years will have seen the sheep shed and hopefully seen the facilities. And on the out farm and trench as well, you have a good handling facility.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
Okay, so the shed back 5 years ago or so, it's 5 years now, our last principal, Mike Pearson, always said to me, because we've been working in 3 or 4 different sheds throughout my lifetime here, and he says, someday I'll have a complete sheep shed for you. And before he left, he'd done a few changes and stuff, but he put up a fine shed. And so it accommodates 400 ewes.
All straw bedded.
All straw bedded. And we designed it ourselves, and we got in Stanley's engineer, Jason Stanley, and he designed the pens for us and the handling unit at the back. Okay. So we have a batch foot bat for the winter for, when you're bedding ewes, they tend to get a bit lame on them. So we have the batch foot bat to foot bat the ewes, about a month out from lambing or so.
It's big enough pens you're holding?
So it holds about 35 ewes per pen.
Okay, nice enough size.
Exactly.
your lambing pens all set up in the one shed.
All set up. So once we start lambing, then we could lamb 30 ewes. So that's one pen empty, and we just start setting up single pens in the middle of the shed then.
And you have your group pen ready to go then.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the handling yard and stuff, you have a smaller handling yard built into that unit.
We have a smaller handling, and that's for demonstration purposes for students, because at that stage, there was a lot of students going through, and they need a place to learn how to handle sheep and that.
Yeah. So it's a good race. You can draft off it. You have the forcing pen and the smaller batch footbath.
You have the weighing scales, and you have the forcing pen, and you have the chute.
That batch footbath will accommodate your penny ewes. It'll hold 30 or so ewes.
It was designed to hold the 30 ewes out of pen.
Yeah, the 30-35 ewes.
Exactly. So we can be rotating ewes. we use zinc sulfate, and we leave them in it for 10 minutes or so.
Okay. So you can take a pen out at a time,
so
deal with them, and
we vaccinate them. We vaccinate them for the Hepativac P a month out from them, and we tail crutch, and we footbath them, and we'll do another bundle while they're being so it keeps the thing going.
Okay. So then, like for somewhere, most of the sheep and somewhere go to the out farm, which is Trench Farm, a couple of mile away.
Exactly.
You have a bigger unit on that for handling. A simple system, but works well.
Yeah, it's an old system and it works well. The sheep you'd handle a lot of sheep in a small time. It's well fenced over there, and it's a good yard. We use our dogs, so it's the sheep just run the race well.
Yeah, you converted, like there was an old lean-to off a hay shed.
It was an old lean-to. Originally, when I started here, it was down the field. This was actually down the roadway in a field. Yeah. It had an old pen, and the guy that owns some of Trench Farm, he didn't like walking through the yard in the evening time with his dog.
It could get a bit mucky.
It was getting a bit mucky, and he ordered that we'd put it somewhere, and our old farm manager Ray Platt said we'll put it into a shed. He says, because most days we'd be at something else, on a wet day we could be at the sheep or whatever, but
exactly. So for the couple of seconds or minute you have to run out to the outdoor yard to run them in again, your main bit of work, your weighing and all.
Exactly.
Big advantage.
Yeah, it's I thought it was mad at the time using up a 5-span shed lean-to, but it's the best thing we ever done.
It's there
because the footbath is in there now. Actually the footbath over there holds 50 ewes, and you need your footbath on the roof really because of the rainwater and the evaporations and stuff.
We'll just talk a bit about that footbath for a moment. Like, look, lameness can be an issue on many farms, something we often cover on the podcast. Probably was a bit of a challenge here for years before you had that kind of a facility.
It was a huge problem. And we had our old footbaths or trays up the in the race, and she was splashing everywhere, and it was unsafe really. And
big group of ewes. Anyone knows big group of ewes can throw it. There's not much of footbath after the first ones go in.
The lively ewe, she's a lively sheep, and her lambs are lively.
And generally the very lame ones are to tail in when it's not there. So
exactly, when it's empty.
Okay, so you had challenges with that.
Yeah.
The difference the batch footbath made to you?
Hugely. It saved us some amount of money. It was dear in the day because it is, concrete walls and flooring and stuff and getting it done. But it had saved some amount of money on buying liquid and stuff like that, and time and sheep performance. I mean, I suppose we've 400 ewes there now, and I can say today if we have 10 name ewes out of that now.
It makes the culling job easier for them 10, then it's straightforward.
Absolutely.
You're not looking at huge numbers.
I'm not looking at every sheep lamb.
Yeah. As you touched on there, it's a big contributing factor to performance as well.
Absolutely. Look, I hate seeing anything lame.
Okay, simplifies it.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of come back round in circles here, looking a wee bit forward. Rams on the farm, it's Texels, Charlies.
Yeah, so we have our Texels. So we have two types of Texel really. We have the maternal and we have the terminal. So we buy them on their star ratings and Sheep Ireland sales. And that's it. And the Charlies then are on terminal. I don't keep a ewe lamb from a Charlie, so I want terminal on them. And
so when you put them out, then the Charlies, obviously the ewe lambs are getting Charlies.
Yes.
The Hamlets as well.
No, the Texels out of the New Zealand Suffolks. Okay. They all get the Charlie.
Okay.
So it just keeps that balance again.
Cleaner and simple.
Okay. Exactly. And you actually have great lambs. You're crossing a Texel and a Charlie.
Yeah.
You have
a nice term
U-grade lambs. Like, I mean, we get 10 cent an extra on a bonus for a U-grade lamb through the Offaly Lamb Producer Group.
That's what I was just going to ask you.
Yeah.
You're going through that group.
So
it's in existence for a long time itself. You're in it, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm vice chair in it there at the moment. It's 50 years in business.
So
it's something else, like for a producer group to be in.
It's something that hopefully we'll get featured on the podcast at some stage, because like 50 years in existence is quite the achievement.
It is, and there's over 100 members in it.
Yeah. So, like, Gurteen have been selling through that group for years.
I'd say 25 or more years. I'm not. I'd say, yeah. So it's an excellent group, and we get our quotations on a Tuesday. We weigh our lambs on a Tuesday. We book them in Tuesday night. We'll get our quotations, and if you have more than 50 lambs in the yard, the lorry will come and collect them.
Okay.
And if not, then we have a collection points in different areas in Offaly, but our collection point is in Bor. And in fairness to Bor Mart, allow us to use the yard
to facilitate
for the job.
Okay. Works well, pens, all of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Simplifies things.
Look, just in terms of selling, then obviously you're going fairly tight on spec. You're aiming for heavy carcass most of the year round.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're bonuses and stuff. Like, I mean, there's a huge at €7. Just say €7 a kg. It's €7 for 1 kg of dead weight. Like, so. It's a lot of money. You need your lambs at 20 kgs.
Yeah,
it's a business.
You're covering your costs.
You are. I mean, if you're selling a lamb at 18, it's €14 in the difference. It's a lot of money in one lamb.
So you have to be fairly rigid right the way through the year.
Absolutely. You have to weigh with lambs every week. You know, we have different groups. We have 3 different groups. We run our yaws in different groups just for handling of stakes and stuff. Like, I mean, we work from 9 to 5:30. We try to. So we have 100 yaws with 200 lambs in 2 groups, and then we have a group of singles.
Again, it's where the facility comes in. You have good weighing crates. You have a good race for getting through stock in it.
Absolutely.
It does make that a bit easier.
It absolutely. I mean, you run through lambs there in a few hours.
Yeah.
You know, no pulling or dragging. Just the lamb comes up to you in the race, and that's it.
Good crate, good weighing.
Yeah, exactly. We have practically weighing scales and a true test clock, 500 clock. Now it has modifieds on it, but I'm not techie savvy yet.
It does the basics.
It does the basics well. Exactly.
So, like, everything's been sold out of flock basically through that group for the factory.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, look at, as I said, you need your grades. You need your lambs. When your lambs kill up to 19.5 to 20, and that's where you want them at.
So we'll come full circle on this. Like, it's good to see a large yoke flock in an ag college for students. They see the whole process here.
Yeah, exactly. We're the largest flock of sheep in all the colleges, and so it's hands-on practical stuff here. Yeah. I mean, I
have to come into my head about that. Like, one other thing you do here that maybe is unique in nine colleges, might be given out to be some of the rest of them if it's not, but you do a shearing course here every year as well.
Absolutely. It was a thing that Gurteen always done. I mean, when I started here, they had 3 all shearing machines, 2 all Sunbeams and an all Leicester. And different guys used to do it, lectures and stuff like that. And then they left and I suppose retired out of it. And George Graham from Wexford, we asked him that time. He's probably 16 years or 20 years maybe coming out. Years go around so fast. I do say it to George every year. I said another year has come by. And in fairness to George, has great patience and students. It's a free course for them. And I mean, they get their seals, their blue seal or their gold seal or whatever they can achieve. And it's, I mean, we had a few students on it this year, and there was one little lad, and he was, weak in himself and stuff. And he wanted to do the course, and George, in fairness, had a great patience and brought him through the course. And you know something, he was 10 foot tall, the chap, after doing it. Like, he was able to shear a sheep.
I bumped into ones over the years. I've cut their teeth doing it here first. Never did it before, and started here now. I'm working on the country. It's a useful skill for
absolutely, as George just said to them, you can travel the world.
Yeah.
It opens the world for them.
Well, it gives them the basic skill for their own flock, but it's another...
Absolutely.
Look, for a young person, it's an opportunity.
Exactly. It's another opportunity, and that's what colleges are all about.
Look, it was great catching up with you today. We had a busy couple of weeks with you here for Sheep 23.
Yep.
Nabbed you for this job as well. Appreciate you. Thanks for your time today on that.
Thanks, Ger.
We'll have to leave it there for this week's episode. It's an interesting system they run at Gurteen, a very well managed flock, and certainly a very beneficial one for those students who are passing through it. I'd like to thank Ger again for giving up his time to be on with us. That's it for me for this episode. Again, for updates on our sheep program, keep an eye on our Twitter page at Teagasc Sheep. I'm Kieran Lynch. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and follow us for more episodes.